Hey everyone, Mark and Joey back here on a beautiful Monday morning and another exciting weekend of sports. And we want to introduce our new show, the MLB. We're going to go after baseball now. We haven't really up to now because NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs were insane. And we usually get into baseball about halfway through the season. Really nothing's established to get these guys into the season a little bit. We get to analyze what's happening in the games. And we're at almost the halfway point. 70, 71, 72 games, depending on the team. So we want to get talking about MLB. And what we're going to do in our show here is review the two major signings in the offseason, the two free agents. What does that look like? And also who's leading the divisions at this point in the season. Do we see them staying there, or do we see them being caught and maybe relegated to the wild card? Also, what's up with Boston? A couple of interesting stories. We're going to do this every couple of days. Based on the stories that we're seeing, because there's so many games every single day. It's a little bit too much to cover, but we will try and pick out the top news stories for you.
And Mondays are usually the easiest because series kind of wrap up on Sundays a lot of time.
3-game series are wrapping up.
Kind of gives us like maybe a Monday, Friday type of show.
News and stuff like that.
Because a lot can happen in a week in baseball. You can sweep a couple series. Next thing you know, you're on a 10-game winning streak. So, but let's start off with those big off-season signings. And one of them was Bryce Harper. And I'm going to talk about it as a fan perspective. Lots of fun. He's a guy I love. A lot of guys love. He is kind of baseball right now as far as promotional standards. Kind of like the face of baseball. If you say baseball, they know Bryce Harper. He's kind of that guy. He's out there. He's cool. He hits the big home runs. A lot of flair. Controversy galore with him. Whether it's how he's playing or bat flipping or whatever. Obviously he's been in the news a lot and deservedly so. Great home run hitter. His numbers overall aren't the greatest, but if you can hit as many home runs as he does, that's fine. He's had a number of big ones. The crowd get on their feet for it. The team's doing pretty good too. They're in a wild card spot.
But just barely.
Just barely.
We talked about this in our NBA show.
Yeah.
One player in the baseball cannot turn a franchise around on the field. They can make them a little bit better. Basketball, they can turn a whole franchise. But one thing he's doing is making money for his owners.
Yeah, so from the fan side, I always thought it was kind of ridiculous because he plays right field and he's not even going to win you 20, 25 games guaranteed like a pitcher would. You could spread that money over 5 pitchers and have a great roster.
But people love home runs.
Yeah, so now the other side of it, which you've mentioned quite often, is, well, let's think of the owner, though. The tickets, the jerseys, the excitement, which he brings because he hits home runs. And ultimately, if you had a great pitching team every time the game's like 3-0, that's not going to bring fans to the game.
Yeah.
But having Bryce Harper, a big home run hitter, hit 500-yard freaking home runs to right field and stuff like that is just great. He'll probably be in the All-Star game, maybe home run derby. All that stuff really just adds up to a lot of excitement for the city and for the team. He hasn't made them, like I said, he's made them a little bit better, but mostly just really helped them build a brand there. He's had a decent season himself as far as the home runs go.
But it's interesting about a guy like that. There's belief that you're never out of the game because Harper can always come up and hit a 2 or 3 run homer.
True.
I'll bet in Philadelphia, because you and I went through this when we go down Blue Jay games. You're around 7th inning, you're losing by 4, and everybody's starting to leave the building. But with Harper around, I don't think people leave the building because they know at any time he can tie that game up or win it, right?
Yeah, it's like a David Ortiz in Boston, right?
Yeah.
And I actually remember a playoff game one time they were down by like 3 and he hit a grand slam, and all of a sudden they won the game. So he has that ability. That's why he brings so much excitement and
jersey sales, ticket sales. I think the owner said he's made more money than he's paid him already.
Yeah, and he's still 25 years old.
Yeah.
The TV, contracts and everything. So, huge value to the city for the team. And he's actually having a pretty good season, at least on the home run side of it. Yeah. We knew his numbers wouldn't be great, like as far as averages, but that's not what he does. He hits home runs, he brings excitement. He's a good outfielder too, actually. People underestimate that part of his game. But as predicted, they're only a wild card team. They could easily win the division, only 3 games back. But it's not like they were going to go on and have a great, like all of a sudden win like 80, no, that'd still be not very good, but like 100 games maybe, because of an outfielder. But overall, I'd say that one's been pretty successful. The other big one, actually there's 2 more big ones, actually I forget about Mike Trout, but he signed midseason. But anyway, Manny Machado was another off-season one, again coming from a different team. He's bounced around for many teams. Partly because of his attitude, partly because he's on Baltimore. Baltimore got really bad, they didn't want to spend the money. Goes to LA, goes to San Diego Padres, get this one right. And, he's probably even more of a failure because, he brought a little bit of excitement, a little bit of jersey sales, a little bit of everything Bryce Harper brought.
Yeah.
Good stats, good hitter, good player, but way less than what I would think Harper would bring to a team simply from the extra stuff we just mentioned of jerseys and fans and stuff like that. Manny Machado is not that guy. He might be a better overall player. He plays the hot corner at third base or shortstop, which is tough to find these days. He's a good all-around hitter. But again, Dodgers are in the playoffs. They won't make the playoffs.
San Diego. You keep wanting to put him on the Dodgers.
He played on the Dodgers last year, okay? San Diego Padres, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not in a playoff spot. They're no good. They weren't going to get good because of him. And he didn't even bring, in my mind, as much excitement as Harper would as far as everything else goes.
Yeah.
They still feel like it was worth their benefit. They might become very good. I've heard they've had a young core building, waiting to bring it into existence here, hopefully soon for them. It was a 10-year deal, so there's no rush
for him to be the anchor of that.
Yeah, as time goes forward.
Yeah.
But in the early front, I'd say not as great as a deal as Bryce Harper. Failing a little bit, no chance to make the playoffs. Who cares really about that? Same with the LA Angels. Mike Trout just signed a big deal. Again, people call him the best player in baseball. Again, horrible team.
Yeah.
Again, he's not going to get in the playoffs just because he plays center field and he has great stats. Again, I think a waste of money. Also not as famous or as exciting as Bryce Harper is. So at the end of the day, out of the three big contracts, the highest paid players in the league, just three of them specifically, Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, Manny Machado, I think we can both agree on both ends of it that Bryce Harper is the benefit. The other two guys are good, but you need to build teams around them, and you're not selling any extra jerseys or putting more fans in the stands because these guys are boring and they're no good.
Yeah.
At least Bryce Harper's exciting. The team did get a little bit better. They signed players because of him. That was part of the reason why he wanted to go there. And it's Philadelphia, which is a sports-craved city. San Diego Padres, not really. They lost their football team.
Yeah.
You think of the LA Angels, they're really secondary to the Dodgers, just in Anaheim there.
Right.
So really, they're not even big cities, so I don't understand forking out the money for those guys.
Tough markets to be successful in. Not big cities, as you mentioned. So not like going into Philly, who's a sports crazy town.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's one of the things we'll follow the rest of the year. I just want to say one thing is how sad we were to hear about Big Papi and the shooting.
Oh my God! Yeah.
It's hope he's going to recover here. This was really shocking, but he is recovering, and hopefully that turns out to be. It was pretty close. I mean, it was amazing how close he was.
They had to do a lot
some
more
real organs. He had, he had part of his liver removed and other things that, it's amazing that, how close this was. So glad he's going to make a full recovery.
Yeah, what this just points out to, as we've said many times to people, just because you make it doesn't ever take you away from where you're from. And unfortunately, fortunately for them, they make lives out of it. But a lot of these athletes, whether it's football, basketball, or baseball, come from these low end money towns, and good for them for making careers, and they're now able to make money and support their families. But they go home to simply visit their family, and it's dangerous because they come from areas that aren't that safe, aren't that high end, and a lot of people could easily be jealous. And apparently it was a paid hit on him, and it's just sad to see. We know what a great guy he is, what he's done for Boston, even though I'm not a Boston fan, what he did for Boston during the marathon, and obviously bring them World Series after all those years. So we hope he makes a full recovery. I heard he probably will, but still, it was big surgeries and obviously very, very close, and we hope that this doesn't happen again.
And a continuing interesting story, because one of the guys charged said he wasn't the target. So there's lots of stuff coming out.
Might have been his friend then. His friend also got shot through Papi.
Yeah,
so
it's interesting about what's going to happen in this case. We'll stay in touch with it and report back, and hope he is fantastic, because whether he's at his own home or in Boston or any city within North America, he is a big piece of the MLB.
He's an icon.
And the history, and we want to see that full recovery. It'd be fantastic for him, but also the baseball world, not to lose a guy like that. So we wish him the best there. Like I say, we'll be back a couple times a week with MLB updates, and we'll look forward to chatting about baseball shortly.